Welcome, Megan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And it's kind of an interesting story. I think we need to tell the people that we met on social media. I noticed the wonderful things that you were doing on Twitter and the way that I guess their algorithm works. Like if you like some things, they show you first. So I even get like notifications when the Hunt Family Cafe at Arkansas Children's Hospital posts something, and it's always something good and something interesting that I interact with. So I just wanted you to take us back. How did you start using social media for?
Okay, well, our hospital is brand new. It started in 2018 from the ground up. And when I came on board with the hospital, my client here asked that I create a Twitter page. And, I'm on Facebook personally. I've never dealt with Twitter before. I didn't know how to use it. But I wanted to show that value that we bring as a company of listening to what our clients' wants and wishes are. And so I kind of threw myself into it to figure it out. It wasn't hard, but I love where it's came since 2018. We are able to showcase so many amazing things and kind of show our clients with Arkansas Children's, and not only Arkansas Children's, but all the other Morrison healthcare accounts that kind of follow us, what our priorities are here and what things are important to our account here in the South Midwest ish area.
For sure, Arkansas, definitely. And I just looking through your page, I noticed just so many good things that you share, and anybody should check this out. Search for Hunt Family Cafe at Arkansas Children's. There is just so many great things. There's a smoky barbecue meatballs that you have a picture of. So you're kind of showing what the offerings are, and I think you have a really good balance of that. And also, this social media was used to kind of let people know what was going on during the pandemic and to reassure people. So, what were some of the things that changed during this past year?
So I'd say during the pandemic, it was a great vehicle for us to update our customers on what changes and what protocols we were taking advantage of to keep them safe while eating in our cafeteria. We got some new, touchless utensil dispensers and touchless condiment dispensers. Um, so we showed people how to use those on it. Also, it's a great way for us to let people know what specials we're running every day. We try to work with a local food conservancy here, and you don't always know what we're going to be getting through them local organic produce. And it's a great way for me that day of to say, hey, we just got this item in, we're running this special. um, but it's also a great way to let people know what's coming ahead. Our
Mhm.
company loves to come out with new micro concepts and new
Mhm.
pop-up concepts to have in our cafeteria to kind of keep things fresh and new, as far as variety of food. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a great way for us to introduce them before they come down to actually taste the food. So we had these clings made, and it says where to follow us on Twitter. And
Mhm.
we've put those clings throughout our cafeteria. So anyone that comes into the cafeteria can look us up on Twitter and follow our messages on there to see what's coming.
That's cool because I a long time ago, like years ago, when I first kind of got on Twitter, somebody had the advice like it's just talking, just see it as talking. It's like
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, and it's communicating back and forth. And you guys really are on trend with so many of the things like those fish shaped pastries. I think taiyaki look
Yes.
amazing.
And the great thing about that is it's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the month of May, and we were able to showcase some personal items that a couple of our girls grew up eating. That's something that their mother made, and it was really cool to be able to share their story through their food with our customers. And that was one of those things that their mom used to make them. It looks like a little waffle iron, but
So cute.
it's like little fish.
Yes, and those, I mean, I see those everywhere. That's like, I mean,
I've never seen them before. So,
I
and
see them
whenever I
everywhere.
posted that on Twitter, I
Yeah.
was able to kind of put the Google
Uh,
definition of what those
Yeah,
are,
right. I see
and
that
then
you
the
shared that.
picture of what we sold that day so people could kind of, understand what was going on in the cafe that day.
Super cool. I mean, it's like you take a deep dive into each menu item, and you also use this to introduce your new chef, who he's actually one of our chefs to watch. So tell me a little bit about how that all worked.
So when Chef Brigham came on board, which it was in January of this year, we wanted to introduce him through food. So one thing that we did was I asked him to come up with a bite once a week, and that would be a way for him to stay out in the cafeteria to talk to the customers, to engage them, the staff, and to introduce himself through his food, which is very international. He loves South African foods especially. So
Cool.
each bite kind of had a story to go along with it. So that I thought that was really a cool way to introduce our new chef here.
Definitely. That it really worked out so well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and it got your attention, right?
it definitely did. Yes. It's so true. It's like I was saying, like we're an example of like how this all came together. Because it's, I would have never met somebody in Arkansas at
Yeah,
a hospital, you know.
right.
And I wanted to ask too, a lot of specifically for healthcare dining. A lot of the kitchens are in basements. They're in places where there's not a lot of natural light.
Right.
And I can see many people, they don't want to like feel silly to be like, I'm not an influencer. Like, I'm not going to take my
Right.
plate and set it like on, and do all this crazy stuff. It's like they don't want to, but your food photos always look so good. They're so clear. They're all like, I can use them in my magazine right away. They're ready. So I wanted to know if you could share some of your tips for food photography.
So that was a skill I definitely had to develop.
Mhm.
I'm lucky enough I had a corporate chef a few, I don't know, several years ago that pulled me aside and he's like, "What are you doing, Megan? Your pictures look horrible. There's
Oh,
there's
wow.
there's clutter in the back, you know."
Mm,
Um, so he taught me how to take better food focused pictures. And I think it's important. It sounds so normal, like it would just be a normal thing that you would think of, but it's
yeah.
not. And
Right,
when you're showcasing something like that where potentially anyone can see it,
right.
you want to put your best foot forward. So he really ingrained that in me. And now when I take those pictures, I make sure I have good lighting and I focus in close on the item so you can see the glossiness of the food. You can see
Mhm.
the micro herbs that may be on it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I also make sure if anything is behind the item,
Mhm.
it's relevant and
It's intentional,
it's
right.
not clutter, it's not the
Mhm.
junk behind. So I think it's important to think about that. I know it was super busy in the healthcare kitchens and you've got other things to think about
Mhm.
that's going on. You're not just worried about the cafeteria, but for that moment when you take that picture, you really have to stop and think and take a minute to make sure it's a good quality picture you're putting out there.
Right, it's about the composition of it, and
Yeah, and just like everyone says, you eat with your eyes first. And if you're going to be putting things like that on social media, that's even more so that you have to be more careful of how you're presenting it on social media.
exactly. And you took something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something as elaborate as those fish pastries, the Japanese fish pastries. Like, you took something as simple as some hydroponic basil from a local farm, and you were like, we're diversifying our vendors, and it's like just the way to communicate that has so much more impact when you have the beautiful picture of the herb with it,
That's a
because
priority of Arkansas Children's is to diversify our vendor pool that we're purchasing from. And I'm so lucky that we found this group of their vets. And it's really a cool group of guys that grow this hydroponic basil, and they're just gorgeous. I don't even have to do anything to the pictures. They're gorgeous. So it looks like a bridal bouquet. It's so beautiful. They're
it
just
really does.
perfection, and it's all hydroponically grown locally.
Oh,
Um, but I love that I'm able, no one would know that. No one would know where that basil came from unless we were able to use Twitter to tell that story of we're
right.
trying to meet some needs of our clients, of diversifying our vendor pool. And we're putting out great quality products that we're using in our cafeteria. it's so fun on when we do like special pizza days. We have that amazing basil out there, and we're able to just tear it and fresh and throw on top of their pizzas. I mean, that's great. I love it.
For sure. Like when the basil melts into that pizza and just love
Yeah.
it. It
Yeah.
is so good. My daughter is growing some basil here.
Oh,
And
I
actually
love that.
it's hydroponic at home. We
Yeah,
have,
I
and
love that.
I can't even keep up with it. Like I just keep trimming it down and it's like we have a lot. I'm drying
Yeah,
some of it.
yeah.
Definitely very cool. And the tahine, I was calling it tagine for a while, but then
I did as well, and then I was told how to say it the correct way.
me too, me too. I was correct. And it's a learning experience.
It is, it
We
is.
didn't know. And that's like such an incredible spice because it's like lime and chili. If you guys have not tried this, it's kind of well known, kind of like a cult favorite, but like yeah, if you're watching us and have not tried tahine, it's Tajin, and that
Yeah.
is, and the way that you just kind of offered that is like, here's what we're doing for our Cinco de Mayo, like it's going to go on our chili rellenos and
Cinco de Mayo was incredible here at this hospital. We did all kinds of things. And it's not only because we have this love of food and um, celebrating the holiday, but it's also a chance for us as hospital food service workers to be able to celebrate the staff that, I always say our job here is to take care of the people that take care of the little people. And we're a children's hospital. So we talk about that a lot in the back of the house here with our staff, that
yeah.
you're not just here to serve the food, you're here to welcome the nursing staff and the doctors and the techs and the lab assistants.
Yes,
They have a lot going on in their day. They have a lot of hard things. They have a lot of great triumph stories as well. But
I know.
we have 30 minutes every day to kind of ease their pain a little bit through food and get their mind off things.
Yeah.
So anyway, Cinco de Mayo was amazing here, and we had all kinds of amazing fruit cups with the cups rimmed with the tahine. We do the mango with the tahine, and we found these little mini ones so people can keep them at their desk, and they tahine everything.
Yes, seen those. They're so cute. And
Yeah,
I think I had one in my purse for a while. And then sadly, of course, the past year didn't go anywhere.
yeah, right.
Nowhere to sprinkle it. But yeah, it's such a bright spot. And social media coming together with food really can do that. And it's like, like you said, there's a lot of stuff going on at the children's hospital, and not all of it is good. So it's something that healthcare food service can really, just to comfort people and to really to
Sure.
kind of be that bright spot sometimes. So, and I wanted to talk too about how you gained the confidence. We touched on that a little bit, where the chef was telling you like these food pictures are terrible, and you're willing to, like, it's like constructive criticism
For sure.
and like trial and error. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about making that connection, and kind of not being intimidated by like, I'm going to be the social media person, and
Yeah.
also like the value that it has
For
brought.
sure. Whenever I was asked to kind of consider like doing this, at first I was like, oh Lord, I don't want another thing added to my plate. But I came around to it, and now I absolutely love it. For
Mm.
not only the reason to share the food and the stories behind the food that we are serving here in this cafeteria, but also to just talk about leadership values and um, things like that. We're a hospital system, but my sister hospital is 3.5 hours away.
Mm.
So it's a way for me to communicate with people in that hospital, about who I am as a
Right.
leader, about how we like to run our department here, about what priorities are important to us, with our team here. But getting back to not letting it scare you, whenever I jumped into it, I just jumped into it slow. I was careful. And now that I've got the hang of it, I'm way more strategic and intentional about the messages I do post.
Right. It's
I
kind
understand
of
it
grown.
better. Yeah, with Twitter, you're only allowed a certain number of characters. So it challenges you with Twitter too to be more intentional with what the message is that you're trying to get across.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just throw it out there real quick always. You've got to take a minute to think about how you want to say the message. But um to anyone out there that isn't sure, or you're looking for another thing to kind of jazz up what you offer at your facility, I mean, think about it. It's not a hard thing. but it brings a lot of value to what you do at what you do at your facility.
Yeah, absolutely. And from learning from people like Megan, you guys can see what she's doing and get some good ideas, like for
Yeah,
sure.
for
And
sure.
that's the great thing about it too, is the sharing and making the
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the best thing about food, we bring so many cultures and backgrounds and everything together over the dinner table, and we can do it over social media too, share experiences and
yeah.
share stories about where this food came from, and we have a really diverse crew here in my kitchen, and I just absolutely love it. I traveled to another one of our accounts in Dallas, and it was a huge account, and they were incredibly diverse, and so
Mhm.
much so that their whiteboard that they use every morning to do their little daily communication huddles
Mhm.
had good morning written in like 11 different languages.
Oh, wow.
And I love though that
That's
that
awesome.
director took and that chef took the
Uh-huh.
time to make that unique to those people's cultures, and
Yes.
made that effort to be able to speak to them in their native language a little bit, and but I think that's really cool too, to take things like that into consideration, and you can tell those stories through social media.
For sure, for sure. And on that note, I think we're out of time, and but we're going to be keeping up with you, and definitely we'll check in over the summer and beyond to
Oh, for
see what you
sure.
got going on. But thank you so much for taking the time to share with
Yeah,
us.
definitely, thank you.